from what I understand, the way that they went, the direction that they went is like they shut off the final part of manufacturing and also the parts. Like they shut off plants that were working on offering new parts to existing cars that are out there, or at least like on the final end of the manufacturing assembly line. Last week was when they hit a F-150 plant, which is their top selling car. The parts plants are huge, but that way assembly could continue, right? Like assembly down the line could continue. You weren't like halting assembly across the board.
More than 16,000 UAW members could return to assembly lines at one of the big three automakers soon if they approve a new tentative deal. The United Auto Workers Union and Ford Motor Company struck the deal to end the walkout that started last month. Factory workers will get a 25% raise over 4 years from $32 an hour to roughly $40 an hour. New hires will now be able to reach that
with COLA, it goes up to, I think, 33%.
$40 mark in 3 years instead of 8. Members will now have to approve the deal in a vote to make it official. Meanwhile, strikes continue at GM and Stellantis. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve joins me now on the phone. Chris, thank you for making time. Obviously, we were looking for something to happen soon and have been for weeks now. What else do we know about the inner workings of this deal and what it means for both sides?
Well, we know there had been a flurry of negotiations today between Ford and the United Auto Workers Union. Ford announces earnings tomorrow, and there was a clear desire on the part of the automaker to try to have this done before they have to face Wall Street and talk about their earnings. General Motors had kind of a rough earnings call in the minds of some at Ford, and they were hoping to avoid that, hoping to have a good story to tell. You know, Ford has the most United Auto Worker members of the big three automakers. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, they've had the best labor relations with the union. So they had widely been seen as the company that was most likely to get a deal done the fastest. Ford had hoped to have this done before the strike ever happened, let alone a strike into its sixth week that had seen not only about 16,600 of its workers walk off the job, idling many of its key plants, but more than 3,000 others they've had to temporarily lay off because of those plant closures. This tentative agreement means those workers will be able to start going back to work as Ford brings back online several of its key plants that make huge money makers like the F-150 and the Ford Explorer.
So about 2 weeks ago, you recall that the president of Ford was sort of capping things at 23%. It looks like they're ending at about 25%. Who are the real winners here?
Well, it certainly sounds like the Ford employees are getting a very nice raise here. 25% over 4 years, 11% in the first year, and some of the lowest paid union auto workers will see their income more than double over the course of this contract.
Who wins? The workers win.
Sharika, throughout your career, how many times have you gotten a raise where you saw your salary double or more than double over the course of one contract? That's a pretty significant raise. Now, the auto workers will say,
bro's talking like he's horny for one, dude. He's like, man, this union stuff seems pretty good, huh? It's like, how many times have you seen a raise like that? That's an ad right there, dude. That's a cut that for the NLRB. God damn.
You know, that they hadn't gotten a raise in 12 years, and then when they did get a raise, it didn't keep up with inflation. So this is really just trying to keep pace. But certainly the workers have to be feeling relief. They've been making $500 a week in strike pay, the ones that have been on strike.
That's right.
Why would a Democrat vote?
To see what the other two out of the big three do as a result of this tentative deal. Chris Van Cleve, thank you.
The UAW's blockbuster deal will see Ford workers' pay jump more than 4 years than all pay rise in the past 2 decades combined, union says. Holy shit. What does it mean, COLA? Cost of living adjustment. That's what it means, my beautiful chatter. It means that the salaries will have to increase as inflation increases. It's a thing that they used to have, that they gave away in 2008 when the economy crashed. UAW put out a 10-minute video on Twitter about the New Deal. Let's take a look. Does anyone have it? I'm surprised that people have not pumped a more perfect union video at me yet on this issue.
UAW family, I'm excited and honored to be joined today by Vice President Chuck Browning as we announce a major victory in the stand-up strike. Today, we reached a tentative agreement with Ford. For months, we've said that record profits mean record contracts. And UAW family, our stand-up strike has delivered. What started at 3 plants at midnight on September 15th has become a national movement. We knew we were getting close, but we also knew the companies needed a major push if we were going to make sure we got every penny possible in this agreement. So we took...
Yeah, that's why he took the fucking Ford F-150 plants finally.
Like, from what I understand, I'm no big city lawyer. I don't fully understand the manufacturing plants and the processes, but this was a pretty graceful way to halt operations. It's kind of like the reason why the SAG strike is still going on is because there is no reason for the SAG to be working right now anyway, because like the writer strike ended, so now you're gonna have scripts, now television and like and film season is gonna come after the holidays, so they'll want to end it after the holidays, right? However, from what I understand, the way that they went, the direction that they went is like they shut off the final part of manufacturing and also the parts. Like they shut off plants that were working on offering new parts to existing cars that are out there, or at least like on the final end of the manufacturing assembly line. Last week was when they hit a F-150 plant, which is their top selling car. The parts plants are huge, but that way assembly could continue, right? Like assembly down the line could continue. You weren't like halting assembly across the board. So they struck one of Ford's most profitable plants, and Ford basically turned around and capitulated. Ford was also more in line with their demands from the jump.
Took our strike to a new phase and hit the companies with maximum effect. On Monday, we called on our UAW family at Sterling Heights Assembly to stand up. That is Stellantis' biggest and most profitable plant. Yeah. On Tuesday, our UAW family at Arlington Assembly answered the call, and they went out on strike, shutting down GM's biggest and most profitable plant. Ford knew what was coming for them on Wednesday if we didn't get a deal. That was checkmate. On day 40 of the stand-up strike, we reached a historic agreement. As you know, in our union, the members are the highest authority. That means we have a process for rolling out the details of the agreement and making sure every member gets a chance to make an informed decision. So here are the next steps. First, we have reached a tentative agreement with Ford. Next, your elected leadership in the UAW National Ford Council is going to come to Detroit on Sunday, October 29th. They will vote on whether to send the agreement to the membership. If the council votes to approve the agreement, then that evening, we will be hosting a special Facebook Live with all of you to go through the deal in detail. Your national negotiators and staff...
This is pretty cool because this is usually how this works for every union, and I like that he's like explaining it not to his own rank and file who know how this process works, but to you guys as well.
Are working tirelessly right now to get the highlighters, the change pages, and white books together. Our goal is to have those ready and available digitally for all of you to access online on Sunday night. Following the council vote and the Facebook Live, we'll hold regional meetings to walk through the agreement with local leadership. And then locals will hold informational meetings to get your questions answered. After that, it'll be up to the members to vote on the deal. We're going to let that democratic process take its course. But we also wanted to provide you with some key takeaways of this historic agreement.
Our union has united in a way we haven't seen in years. From the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, our members came together to tell the Big Three with one voice that record profits mean a record contract. Thanks to the power of our members on the picket line and the threat of more strikes to come, we have won the most lucrative agreement per member since Walter Reuther was president. Between wage increases, COLA, annual bonuses to retirees, and other economic gains, there is more value for our members in each individual year of this agreement than the entirety of the 2019 agreement. This deal puts more money on the table than the 2019 agreement 4 times over. So when we say historic, we mean it. We have won a 25% general wage increase over the course of this agreement. With COLA, we expect the top wage rate to increase by over 30% to about $40 an hour. Our starting wage rate will rise 68%. For decades, temps at the Big Three have been abused and exploited. Over the life of the contract, temps will see raises of over 150%. Some of our lower tier members at Sterling Axle and Rawsonville will see an immediate 85% raise upon ratification. UAW members at Ford will receive more in straight general wage increases over the next 4.5 years than we have over the last 22 years combined. At ratification, Ford workers will receive an immediate 11% wage increase. That's almost equal to all of the wage increases since 2007 combined.
That's disgusting. I mean, that's good as a dub, but also kind of disgusting that that's all they ever got since 2007. It really goes to show you how necessary this strike was. Fuck, bro.
We also won back some core things that we had lost over the years. We have won back our 2009 COLA. We have won back a 3-year progression, which we have not seen since before the Great Recession.
And they killed the wage tier.
We have killed the divisive wage tier at Sterling Axle and Rawsonville. We have finally added to our pension multiplier and provided more for retirement for current retirees, members with pensions, and members with 401ks. And on top of that, we made historic advances in job security. For the first time ever, we won the right to strike over plant closures. For decades, that was an impossible demand, but through the power of the stand-up strike, we have made it a reality. That means they can't keep devastating our communities and closing plants with no consequences. Together, we have made history.
When we say we made history, we don't just mean me and Chuck or our national negotiators. We mean we, the UAW. We mean the stand-up strikers of Local 900 Michigan Assembly who took the first step. Our family at Local 551 Chicago Assembly who brought the noise. And our UAW family at Kentucky Truck Plant, Local 862, who landed the biggest blow. And just as importantly, we mean all of you who stayed on the job. By being ready to stand up at a moment's notice, you gave your national negotiators the power they needed to get this deal done. Everything we did at the bargaining table, every extra $100 million we got the company to give up was because of you, the members. And the next steps are also up to you, because the members are the highest authority in our union. We send this contract to you because we know it breaks records. We know it changes lives. But what happens next is up to you all.
Here's the next phase in our stand-up strike. We are calling on all Ford strikers to go back to work while we vote on our tentative agreement. Like everything we've done in this stand-up strike, this is a strategic move to get the best deal possible. We're going back to work at Ford
to show Stellantis and GM that if they meet their very reasonable demands, they can get back to fucking work.
To keep the pressure on Stellantis and GM.
Yep.
The last thing they want is for Ford to get back to full capacity.
It's so fire because, like, it's just straight up divide and conquer. This is how it's what capital owners do all the time.
While they mess around and lag behind. Members will be receiving further instructions on the process for returning to work soon.
Members are the highest authority, and you decide what happens next, not us.
So now that we've announced a tentative agreement, or TA, we will be bringing the UAW National Ford Council to Detroit. This is our union's democracy at work. The Ford Council is the next line in the chain after our national negotiators. They'll review the details of the agreement and vote on whether...
By the way, when you realize, like, when you look at these guys, perhaps you understand why Coca-Cola assassinated labor leaders in, like, Colombia and shit. You know what I mean? Like, think about how these dudes make you feel, okay? Think about the incredible amount of gains that they made that were a necessity at this point, and it was far from, I mean, it was the most reasonable, right? These demands were incredibly reasonable. There's no other way to do it. This is the only way to do it. A guy I was talking to at work said that UAW guy makes $23 million a year. He's such a leech. Lamont, okay, bro, stay mad. Like, what? $23 million a year? The UAW is democratically voted on, okay? For the first time in its history, Shawn Fain was the first democratically voted leader to the UAW. That person is out of his fucking mind for saying that. I think he means the CEO. The union votes on how much money he makes. Shawn Fain does not make $23 million a year. You're probably mistaking him for the actual leech in this process, which is the fucking CEO of Ford.
Whether to send it to the full membership in the next several days.
Following the vote of the council, we'll put the full change pages and the contract highlights online, and we'll hold a Facebook Live to dig into the details. After that, the members vote. I want to be clear. We told Ford to
4 hours and 25 minutes in to my commentary, you just cut it in half. You cut my audience in half. You cut my reach in half. You cut everything in half. You cut the revenue that you generate in half because you can't get a fucking single server to not act out. Okay? Sick. Sick. It's awesome. Thank you, Twitch. You're the best. I love having my own motherfucking multi-trillion-dollar conglomerate that owns monopoly market share in both e-commerce and also in the live streaming space, not be able to fucking have enough servers to just handle streaming uninterrupted. I love it. Look at that. Literally cut directly in half. 30,000 people were watching. Now we're back down to 12,000 people watching. That's fucking sick. Thank you. Thank you, Twitch. Hey, but guess what, guys? We got multi-streaming now. We got multi-streaming, you know? Anyway. Great.
To make things right at Ford, at the Big Three, and across the auto industry. Together, we are turning the tide for the working class in this country.
It's great. So fucking bummed, dude. Holy shit. I fucking, nothing just kills me. Nothing kills my momentum like that. Just a way for my stream to fucking die completely outside of my control. Like, there's not a single thing I can do about it. It just fucks me. It fucking ruins me, dude. It ruins my mood. It ruins my fucking vibes. Habibi, AWS is having an outage, not Twitch. What do you mean? It says there's no current... Down detector says there's no outage.